Alright, so here we go into Art of the Variation. Alright, and we're going to work into this slowly. Now, I mentioned that Sodal is like a giant yucca. Well, then the reasoning you should be able to follow that fairly easily. So these are yucca stalks that I've collected. Okay, we'll put those aside. Now look at these bases. They're at least thumb-sized in thickness. Okay, so do you think maybe we can get away with something like that? Well, I think we probably could. And probably these middle sections, which are like finger diameter in size, we could probably get away with them being a pretty good blade. All right. So I have a bag full of yucca spindles, and what I've done is I've taken a finger, a little finger size section there, okay, and I've cut my 1/4 inch blade on the end with my knife, and I pointed it up, as you can see, okay. And here I have a fairly thick, like pointer finger size spindle. Okay, it's a little crooked. So how I'm gonna split this is where if I line it up where it's not crooked, where I'm viewing it, that's where I'm gonna split it. Now technically I could use the other half as a blade and the other half as a base. Okay? So let's say this, I have a slightly smaller half. Well, that could be my blade if I wanted it to be. And this side is going to be my base. Now we want it to kind of lie flat. Now notice the length of it. It's about 8 inches. But I know that my stroke length is about 6. Okay? So that gives me plenty of room lengthwise to deal with. Alright? The other thing too is we have to be careful of is with yuccas, you get the bug holes, okay, where it's eaten out. So you know what I'm going to do? This one's pretty bad. I'm not going to use this one. Okay. Same with the blade. The blade one has a lot of bug holes in it too, so we're not going to use that one either. So we're going to put that aside. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a fresh yucca, and I could see from the stalk that it has no bug holes in it. Okay? So we're going to pick one of these that I think is pretty good. I'm going to cut a spindle out of it, sort of, kind of, and we're going to use that as a blade and a base. Alright? So I'm going to do that next. Okay, so of my 3 spindles, I've chosen this one here. And I took the base off. Okay, I cut both sides evenly, so it's kind of like a spindle. It's not exactly straight, but it's straight enough. I can line it up where I could split it in half. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Put these down on the side again. And we're going to line this one up straight as I think I can get it. I'm going to start from the bottom. And we're going to... Actually, what I'm going to do is kind of 3/4 and 1/4. So we'll have the base as a little larger. And the blade a little smaller, automatically. Okay. And that lays nice and flat. Look at that. That's really nice. So let's clean that up. Now the yucca, it has some fibrous bark on it, so we're going to take that off. so that that doesn't interfere. Okay. We'll save those scrapings for some coal extender. We're going to clean up our blade. Right. Save those shavings. Now, as you know, the blade is a semicircle, right? So what we need to do is actually turn that into an actual blade. I'm going to use the thicker part. And we're going to get this down to 1/4 of an inch. Okay. I'm going to flatten this one side. Now what I have to be careful of is when I apply pressure to this, when I lean my body weight on it, I don't break this blade because it could be too fragile. Now I'm going to kind of take the sharp sides off of this half circle blade. Okay. All right. So my shavings there. Now what we need to do is make sure this gets secure. So what I'm going to do is, actually I don't want to use a C-clamp. That's going to be too harsh on such a low density wood. We're going to use the quick clamp. And we're just going to lock that in there. And here's the other one. That'll go down there. And make sure you leave yourself plenty of space, that your hands and your arms aren't blocked by anything. Now we're going to point up our blade. We're doing this completely from scratch, from the base area of a yucca stalk. Okay. Now, I have a piece of buckskin, which I like to use. So we're going to roll that up in there. I'm going to start my groove. If I can't do it with the stick, I'll do it with a stone or with the knife. But you have to test it out first to see which is going to be easier. Make sure it's centered. It might go off to the side since your stalk is round, and that'll really throw you off. Need something a little harder. Point here. There we go. That's making a good dent in there. I don't really want to take out, gouge out wood, because that means that there's less wood available to use for friction. Sometimes it's better to just kind of get a groove going by using pressure in the wood. And here we've achieved that. Okay. Don't make your blade too sharp. Okay. Because what will happen is your blade will actually just start cutting into the base instead of having enough surface area to cause friction. Does that make sense? You're just cutting in if this is too sharp. You do want that whole 1/4 inch surface area available, all right? All right, that looks like a good groove. I think that'll mate well. So what I'm gonna do is turn off the camera, we'll put a close-up on this, and you can see it go from start to finish, okay? Again, we're using the shorter part of the angle. We've got a groove in there already. Okay, so we're going to change strategies. So I have a brand new base that I've split off the yucca. Okay, so here's the other half. Now, it may be a little hard to see, but the base is actually upside down. Okay, so instead of the outer layer being on top, we have the inner layer on top. So here's the strategy. The strategy is we're going to go from the softer heartwood, and as it goes down, it's going to go into the harder sapwood or outer wood. Okay? So, because the problem we're running into is we're cutting through the harder layer, which we need, and then it goes into the softer heartwood, and then it's no good. Then it just keeps cutting through, and we don't get enough friction. So we're going to reverse it. We're going to go to the soft area first, and then into the harder outer wood. Okay. So because this is so soft in here, it's going to be easy to do a groove. Okay, so I haven't started anything with a nail or a knife or another piece of wood. I'm just going to use the blade to get it started. Oops. And let's see how this goes for us. See how that grooved in so easily? See how soft it is? Compared to how much harder it was in trying to do the outside. See? And that's just from pressing on it. That's how much softer the inside is compared to the outside. See how easy that was to do that groove? All right. Let's see if our strategy works this time. So it's already mated, obviously. So let's get it warmed up. I'm going from side to side again. It's starting to brown. So now I'm just gonna go to town. Nope. Let's try again. Oh, there we go. All right. So we did that reverse method on this one. This was a new yucca. Okay. So we went from the inner soft to the outer hardwood. And we got it. That took a while, right? That took a lot of energy. And that's really the point. If you don't get it, you better have enough energy to keep going and keep going. Okay. All right. So we have another strategy at our disposal in understanding hardness, not only of the wood itself or the plant in this case, but the density throughout the plant stalk itself, going from hard from the outside to the soft inside. So what we did was, to fix that problem, we reversed it, went from soft to the harder wood, and there's our result. Okay, so let's move on. Next one. So I told you I was being economic with my material. Well, how economic can you actually be? And I mentioned before, very quickly, that really all I need is half an inch width. Because if the blade is a 1/4 inch, then really all I need, right, is a 1/2 inch. So here we have a 1/2 inch strip, which I had used already, all right, of sodal, which is sawn and cut out. It's 1/2 inch wide. And what I did was I took some pieces of aluminum that I got at the hardware store, and I angled them into like a furrow strip, all right? And what this reload here does is this reload fits right in here, just like this. And then I can use a minimal amount of material and there not be much waste. So I already did one attempt here a while back. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try this other side over here and see if we can't get a coal that way. Okay, and as you can see, it has wings on each side, and you know what those are for. That's for clamping it down to the table so it doesn't go anywhere, for stability. So we're going to clamp this one down here this way. And we're going to clamp this one here on the end, and we're gonna use our same blade. We're gonna keep it at a 1/4 inch. My daughter is sweeping in the background, if you can hear her. She's cleaning up for me. Yes, yes. Alright, so let's work a quick groove in that. Narrow this for a minute. Let's see if we can't get this mated. Oh, good. Shh. Alright, it's not just mating, it's actually warming up and getting brown. So I'm going to flatten this out for the surface area that we need. Okay. And this is it. Again, this is a 1/2 inch wide strip. As a reload. And there's our coal. Not bad. So I'll take this nail and I'll pry out carefully our reload. And there's our coal. Now, wouldn't you agree? That's much better than using up things like this and wasting all this, right? A little bit over here, a little bit over there. But if I were to actually take this down, cut it in economical pieces, especially if I'm doing demonstrations, I could really save on material. All right. And there we go. All right, next thing. Okay, we're back. Now, as you know, bamboo is my favorite. And I've shown you already bamboo with every single drill. Hand drill, mouth drill, bow drill, pump drill, toggle drill, okay? And just so you know, I had already gotten, it with bamboo with fire saw, fire thong, which we're gonna go over next. However, the last one that I needed to get with bamboo was Phyre Plow. And it was killing me for a long time. because I could not figure out how to do it. I tried all sorts of bamboo, you know, and I did my usual, you know, the 2-inch wide slats that I have for projects. I used that. I made a blade out of one of those pieces, you know, and I used one as a board. I even used the chopstick, right? I cut a piece off, made a blade out of it to try to make that work. I even used the chopstick itself as a base. Here I tried one side, here I tried another, no success. And I would try and try and try, no success. But I kind of already knew what the problem was. It's too hard. And it seemed like there was no way I was going to get this to work. Your average, you know, Dojo wood, pump drill wood, I just, you know, those woods, it just can't get going. And bamboo's like right up there with those. It's really hard wood. I mean grass, I should say. It's a hard grass. So, and then it dawned on me, because this was the last method, you know, and I had to get Phyre Plow with bamboo. I just had to. And then it dawned on me the lesson of the mugwort. Remember my friend in Germany told me that the mugwort had to disintegrate a little bit in the weather. Well, that's exactly what I did. I got myself a piece of bamboo it's kind of hard to hear and it's kind of hard to tell, but this bamboo is really light and it's really soft. And the reason for that is because it was sitting out in the weather for a while. So it's degraded from being out in the elements. So I cut myself a piece of this bamboo, and here it is. And as you can see by the burn mark there, I got myself a coal. But again, the strategy was the inside is softer, the outside is harder. So what I did was I started with the inside going down into toward the outside, and got myself a coal on the first try, finally, of this trying to do with bamboo. So we're going to recreate that. I'm going to use the same blade. I'm going to get a different base of bamboo because this one's used up, and show you how it's done with pieces of bamboo. Be right back. So here I've cut out a section of that bamboo tube you just saw. Now I'm going to cut it in half on the bandsaw, and then I'm going to set it up and secure it, and we're just going to go. Okay, so I've cut the piece in half. Okay, I cut it in half, and what I did was I split this even further into 2 more pieces, and these are just over 1/2 inch wide, like we just talked about, because all I need is a little bit of space on each side of the 1/4 inch, right? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna secure this down here. On this side, oh, cracked it a bit. Secure it there on that side. Hopefully I won't crack that farther. Alright, so we have extra pieces here. I'm going to put them aside. We have our blade. This is the original blade I used for my first bamboo Phyre Plow. Okay. Let me get this set up here. You found one? Okay. Hold on a minute, right?
Easy.
We're going to start the groove here. First, let me keep my hands from getting hurt. Alright, again I'm going to use the longer point here to get the groove going. Alright, that looks like a good groove. So I'm going to flatten this short side a little better. Get the surface area I need. And we're going to give it a shot. Here we go. Get you a better view here. There you go. So we're mating it together. And we're warming it up. It's starting to smoke. So here I go. Oh. I burned through, so actually it's cracked from my crack earlier. It cracked through. See that? So we're going to use another one. Let's try this other. Okay, let's just go right to it. Secure that down. That's twice. Don't make my mistake. Let's fix our blade again. It's getting shorter actually. It's too short, it's not comfortable. Let's work the groove. Okay, so we have a groove there. Widen the blade. I'm going to give this a shot. So we got to get this mated. I think it's gouging the bamboo a little bit. I don't know if there's much wood there to actually support the friction. Getting it warmed up, starting to brown. Whew. Actually, I'm getting a little tired. I'm going to admit that. So what I'm going to do is take a break, get a brand new blade, because this one's too short for me now, and try that again. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Obviously bamboo is round, right? So what these flat clamps do though is crack the bamboo. So here I'm going to alter it by taking a piece of the bamboo chopstick, laying that inside, and then putting the clamp on top of that to hold it in place. Okay, to secure it. And we'll see how that fares for us. And I did that at the top too there. All right. Here's our new blade. It's a little longer now than the other one. I took a little bit of the skin off where the blade is. Okay. It's a little less than a 1/4 inch though, which I don't really like because it means it's going to cut in instead of keep the surface area. But I don't have another piece that's thicker. So there it is. We're going to do with what we got. Alright, so we're going to do our groove. Alright. So we got to get this mated. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to save my energy because I don't think I have the energy to be able to pull this off, and I'm going to come back to this. Alright? Alright, so I think I have enough energy to be able to pull this off now. I did quite a few of these in a row, so I had to give myself a break. And that is important to remember if it really depends on whether or not you're going to get a fire. You know, don't be under the stress of thinking you have to do it right now if you don't think you can pull it off. Especially in a demonstration. Because, I mean, you're going to, if you know you can't do it, and you're going to try and do it in front of people, and, well, you're just setting yourself up. So don't do that. Alright? So let's get this. Warmed up. And we have a coal. But honestly, I could not have done it before. When I said I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. So I saved my energy up, and I did it this time. Alright, so that's pretty much all I got to show you. Be careful of the density of your wood, the hardness of your wood, and get that focus consistency. Be accurate in your line. Alright, all the things you saw, all the variables. Alright, have to be balanced within the mean. Alright, on to epimethei. Alright, so the idea of the reload and the fence, and I call it a fence in a sense, that if you could see, the reload actually sits below the height of the, the metal, the aluminum. And what that does too is, it actually catches all of the coal dust that would go flying off to each side. Instead, it sits right there. And especially if I have a coal, what I could do is, if there's any coal extender in there, what I do is I just scrape that up toward the coal and add more coal extender to it. Okay. Sometimes what you'll find is, as you're kicking the coal dust forward, a live coal, actually, they just start going over the side. And you'll have a whole bunch of little coals kind of just everywhere. Well, this helps kind of capture everything that's being scraped forward and ignited. The idea for this, though, however, the idea of the fence, not necessarily the reload, but the fence, I started off with this idea. This is a half section of bamboo. And what I did is, on one side there's a node, and I cut it in front of the other node, and I cut out a section so that it looks like this. Here's the node, and I cut out a rectangular area all the way down and out this one end. Okay, so that it looks like this. And what this is a fence. It keeps coal dust, especially if it's ignited, from going over to each side. Okay? So here's what I do. I'll take, in this case I'm going to take a rubber band. Let me get a stronger one. And let's see, how are we going to do this? And we'll do it this way. I get this wrapped around like this. And then we're going to put that rubber band all the way up here. Then I'm going to take another rubber band, which is on the floor, and we're going to hold this one open. Just like that. And there's our fence, which keeps coal dust from spreading all over the place. Okay? Now, of course, this needs to be secured down very well. In fact, what I'm going to do is, because I guarantee it'll get loose, you secure it down twice. Alright. And let's see. Let's use our other blade again. Let's make sure it's at 1/4 inch width. Make sure it's flat. Actually, with the long end, I'm going to gouge out our groove. You can see there's smoke there already. All right. And of course we use the short part, 1/4 inch width. I know you can't see inside that fence. Maybe I can change the angle a little bit. Okay. My daughter's being very helpful in cleaning up. Alright, so let's get this mated. I don't know if you could see. There's nothing there now. Okay. There's nothing in the groove. There's a groove, but there's nothing there. Okay. Alexa, back up. My daughter's being overly helpful. Okay. Lace the fingers, which is my favorite technique. Again, I don't like the wide-handed method. Get this mated, warmed up. It's already smoking. It's starting to brown. So here we go. And there's our coal. All right. Actually, what I'm going to do is take the fence off. I'm going to cut the rubber band so as not to disturb it for you. All right. And there's our coal. Now you could see, I'm going to take the camera off. You could see how the fence held in all the dust. See how all the dust is in the shape of the fence? See how the dust is in the shape of the fence? It's because it caught all the dust. Kept it in one area. Why don't you wait a minute, Alexa? Alexa, Alexa.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And here's our coal. Okay, and what we do is we dump that into our tinder bundle. And there we go. All right. So believe it or not, that's all there is really to Phyre Plow. If you go on YouTube, there's a couple of videos on there of people doing other woods. There's somebody doing like Western red cedar and maybe one or two other kinds of woods. The trick is that it's really a low density wood. Okay, and in my next example, I'm going to show you my favorite, bamboo, right? As if you never heard me say that before. So we're going to do bamboo next, and I'm going to show you how to get it at the correct hardness before you do that. Okay, next. A quick focus on the variable of density and hardness. Now here, I went to the hardware store, I'm not a hardware store, the hobby store, and bought a variety pack of balsa wood. Okay, so it comes in all shapes and sizes. Here I have an open pack, and here I got some pretty good sized blocks. All right, and if you look inside, here it even conveniently comes with a nice little 1/4 inch width cut piece of balsa. But balsa wood, I'm not sure if you know, is one of the lightest woods in the world, and used for like model kits and stuff like that. But it's very, very soft. Okay, it's very, very low density. It's very light. Okay. So, I mean, it only made sense to see if, you know, I could just buy material that I need at the store to at least give it a try. And if it worked, to tell people to go get it. Well, balsa wood seems that it's really too soft. And I'll show you an example right here. I'll clamp this down, and we'll get a close-up of the wood. All right, and here I've made a quick blade, sort of, kind of, right? And you can see there's no gouge here, okay? And I'm going to carefully start a gouge, going with the grain, and then we're going to see if we can't work this a little bit. But the problem is that, like, the inside of the yucca, it's too soft. And see, it just gouges in, gouges in, gouges in. And it's not even brown. The tip is warm, but it didn't even brown, okay? And the balsa is so fragile, it won't hold a blade. So don't go that route. Okay, the balsa won't hold up. Unless you find a harder balsa than this, than the kit, okay? All right, next thing. Well, today is July 9th, Monday, 2012. And I was just trying a little experiment. These are cattail stalks pieces, and I don't know why, but I decided to try Phyre Plow with it. So I made a blade with one of the stalks, and I just not sure what I was going to use as a base, but I happen to have a piece of sodal. And here we go, lo and behold. We had a success. Now, I didn't think to put the camera on to try, but I'm going to do it again. But this is my first ever cattail blade coal with a sodal base. So we're going to try the sodal again, and then we're going to see what happens on a yucca base. Okay, so that way we have something more East Coast domestic. All right, let's try that again. Okay, so I've made a new blade out of cattail. All right, it's 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch. It's already wrapped in leather, and we got our sodal base ready to go. So we're going to give it a shot. Let's get this warmed up. Warm it up again. There we go. There's our cattail coal. The cattail is really soft. I mean, look what it does to the blade. Have to keep adjusting it. But there's our coal. Nice. Cattail and soda. Alright, let's try yucca. So here we're going to try some yucca as a base with our cattail. As you can see, I fixed the blade, did the sides. We're going to wrap that up in our buckskin. Okay, so I started a groove in here with this round file. Let's see if we can get you a little closer than that. There we go. Alright, let's get this warmed up. Actually mated. Warmed up. Try not to destroy the tip. It's very soft. Starting to brown. I'm not piling any dust though. I see why. Look what it's doing to the tip. Fix that tip again. This is really much softer than sodal and yucca. So I've never had to fix a tip so much, and it's getting shorter, so I have to rewrap it. And it got thicker because it went down. Let's take that down. Okay. Getting some nice dark dust. It's moving quite a bit. I'm going to back up on the groove a little bit. Lost my clamp. I'm going to put on a C-clamp. Instead of the quick clamp. Hard to trust the C-clamps. I mean the quick clamps. After a while, they just give away. Right. Let's try that again. It's really getting shorter, my blade. And there's our coal. Let me take the camera off. Sorry about the blurriness. So there we go. Look at that. It curled up again. The cattail. No coal. Alright. Alright, so we're going to try this again. This cattail with, actually we're going to try it on pawpaw first. Just make an adjustment here. Okay. Let's get this warmed up. Powder's just going everywhere. All right, let's try that again. And there's our coal. Look what I did to the cattail. Cattail on pawpaw. All right, let's go. Okay, so in a lot of books and online, a lot of places you're going to read how when you do Phyre Plow, that one piece has to be a hardwood and one piece has to be a softwood. And so in doing Phyre Plow, I had to kind of test out that theory, that hypothesis, or that, at least that's those statements. So as you can see from before, all of the Phyre Plows we did up to this point are softwoods. But can you do a softwood on a hardwood? So I did a lot of practicing with a lot of different kinds of woods and plants as well, to see if I can get a hardwood and a softwood going together. And after multiple failures, some of the lessons I've learned, okay, at least with that, is you'll hear that you should use a hardwood plow, a hardwood blade, and a softwood base, okay? But what you'll obviously find, as well as myself, is that the hardwood will always eat up the softwood. So you end up gouging these big, huge grooves into the softwood base, and a lot of times it just starts binding, and then your whole attempt is just foiled. Just becomes a failure. So each and every time I did a softwood base with a hardwood blade, it never worked out. So my thinking was to reverse the two. So I'm thinking, well, I'll have a better chance, at least at the survival of me trying the attempt, if I wasn't putting this big huge gouge into the base. So I flipped it around. I made it a hardwood base, right, which would survive longer, and a softwood blade, which of course would be the one that gets eaten more than the base. And that actually worked out as a better successful attempt. At least, even if I had a failure, the base survived a lot longer, and then all I had to do was carve out more of the blade to at least try again. So my first recommendation is, if you're going to do hardwood on softwood, the hardwood should be the base and the softwood should be the blade. Okay. The other thing too I found out about Phyre Plow in general is that some woods, the grain likes to actually come up in the base. So you'll be, plowing a groove in there, and what will happen is actually the layers of the bands, the growth rings, actually start to separate. And so a huge sliver will actually come up out of the base, and actually it just destroys everything. So, for example, I was doing that with the the Western red cedar, and that would happen all the time. And so a lot of my attempts were unsuccessful. But then again, it could just be the piece of the Western red cedar that I'm using. Okay. So have to try another. The other thing too is a lot of persistence. There's a lot of failure with the Phyre Plow, and you just with all your attempts, and you just really have to not get frustrated and just keep on going. Keep going. All right, so with that, the hardwoods and the softwoods can be done, but my recommendation really is the hardwood should be the base and the softwood should be the blade. Okay, and I'm going to show you that it can be done. I'm going to do sodal on hickory, and then we're just going to move right on to the epimethii, but I wanted to mention that before we end with the Phyre Plow. Okay, so let's keep going. So here for Phyre Plow, we're going to try a sodal blade on a hardwood hickory base. The groove was done by my router, a 1/4 inch semicircular cutting bit. And so we're going to warm this up. As you can see, there's nothing in the groove. I'm just going to relax until you can see it's starting to smoke. Getting a little bit of a dust pile. So I'm going to start going for it. I'm going to worry more about speed than I am about pressure. And we got our coal. Look at that. Look at that.
Dad, I was doing that.
You were?
Yeah, when you were not here.
Oops.
You were busy doing things with the stove.
So here is an example of a hard and softwood together. So the hickory base with a sodal blade. All right. All right. Awesome. Let's keep going. And here's our epimethii segment of Phyre Plow. And so we just completed our first linear method, and we're going to do 2 more of the primal basics. We're going to do fire saw and fire thong next. So, what's fascinating about the linears is they are the ones that you always think of when you think of rubbing 2 sticks together. Now, some people may think of a hand drill, but kind of as a kid, you know, you're going to think of picking up 2 sticks and rubbing them together, and you know, like the Flintstones, kind of the lighter on the Flintstones, where he picks up a thing and this little thing comes out and 2 little sticks rub together, something like that. But and I can remember as a kid, you know, trying to rub 2 sticks together. Oh, you know, they're starting to get warm. At least no smoke or anything like that, but you know, it was getting hot. And so here it is, you know, years and years later, actually pulling it off. In fact, almost anybody could pull this off with just a little bit of practice, a little bit of training. Okay, So keep going, don't stop. And so you're going to be fascinated with the next two techniques, the two linears. Again, they all only have a core 2, and we're calling them a blade and a base. All right, they all have to be stabilized, and you have to balance everything within the mean. All right, so let's move along, shall we? On to primal basic number 7, the fire saw. Okay, here we go.